For this week's lesson, we are going to discuss more thoroughly on global warming and climate change. So this will be the focus of our discussion, and hopefully you were able to view already the first four-part series of our previous lesson last meeting. Now, for this morning, this will be the outline of our presentation. So the first topic that we are going to discuss will be on global warming and climate change definitions, followed by human impact on planet Earth, global environment degradation, causes, evidences, and progression. Then we have the greenhouse earth gases, effects, and history. Then we have the carbon dioxide levels, sources, and contributions. Then global warming concept, indicators, factors, critical targets, and impacts. This is followed by your ozone depletion, its impacts, photochemical smog episodes, and lastly will be the global climate change indicators and also with regards to its health impacts. Climate change is one of the most important environmental problems that we are suffering right now. If you go back in our Earth's history, there are period of cooling and period of warming of the Earth's temperature. Now, climate change is very important to us because it has already started taking its toll or effect not only to humans but also to other organisms as well as to our environment. Now, there are many discussions about climate change, but until now, nobody does anything about it. Even our leaders, not only here in the Philippines but also abroad, there are many discussions and conventions on the effect of climate change, but until now, it seems that not everyone are helping each other to tackle or to remedy and mitigate the effects of climate change. Now, climate change is a very important matter to discuss with because it will affect the survival of our species. Now, let us define some terminologies associated with global warming and climate change, and let us differentiate the two. Now, when we talk about global warming, it refers to the temperature increase in the troposphere. Now, when you say temperature increase, there is a certain part in our atmosphere, that is the troposphere, where there will be an increased number of ions that will prevent the escape of heat that is being reflected by our planet. So an increasing temperature will also has an effect with regards to the temperature on the Earth's surface. Another one is that global warming is an increase in the Earth's average surface temperature due to the rising level of greenhouse gases. To what are these greenhouse gases? Those will be discussed later on the succeeding slides. Now let us differentiate global warming with that of climate change. So when we say climate change, it refers to changes in any aspects of the Earth's climate, including temperature, precipitation and storm intensity, and patterns. So in other words, when we say climate change, these are the sudden changes in the normal climate in a certain area or place. Usually, this type of climate are not experienced in those areas, but because of the global warming, it affected the climate in certain areas of the world. Mostly, even here in the Philippines, we are already experiencing the effect of global warming because of the sudden changes in our climate or weather condition. Now, another difference of global warming with that of climate change is that climate change is a long-term change in the Earth's climate, or of a region on Earth. Now, like what I've said a while ago, changes are already being noted not only here in our country but also in other places in the world. Now, for example, in the North Pole and South Pole, or the part of our planet where there are glaciers or ice caps, it has been noted that those ice caps and glaciers are already melting, which will also affect our ocean, which will affect the level of the ocean because it will increase because of the melting ice caps. So those are the differences between your global warming and climate change. Now, usually climate change and global warming are due to anthropogenic activities, or this is what we call as human activities. Human activities will always produce an effect to our planet, and one of these major effects that we introduce to our planet is what we call as global climate change, wherein there is a sudden change in our Earth's temperature as well as on the climatic or weather conditions of our planet due mostly to human activities or anthropogenic activities. Now, on with regards to global environmental degradation, when we say global environmental degradation, this is the destruction of our environment. Now, the environment change is a combination of natural events and human intervention. So, when we say a combination of natural events, there are natural events that occur in the environment which also contributes in the production of greenhouse gases. One example is during volcanic eruptions, the gases that are emitted by a volcano or an erupting volcano may also contribute in greenhouse gases like sulfur dioxide, methane gases, and other greenhouse gases that are emitted during a volcanic eruption or explosion. Aside from your volcanic eruption, also the burning of forest areas, it may be accidental in nature, may also contribute in the production of greenhouse gases. So that those are some examples of natural events. And but most of the causes of this global warming is due to human activities or what we call as human intervention. Now, this particular degradation to our environment does not only occur locally, but it also occur in a wide part of our planet. So it is already global, regional, and local levels. Now, human beings have altered every element of the planet Earth. So we made drastic changes, not only to the surface of our planet, but also to its other components. We have changed the surface or land surface. We have also affected our different bodies of water, as well as the air that we breathe is already affected by our daily activities. So mainly the degradation of our environment is mostly due to humans. If we look at the different causes of global environmental problems, we can observe here on the illustration that is being presented in front of you that some of the causes is due to population growth, per capita consumption, and technology. Now, if there is an increase in population growth, it means also that there will be an increase in the utilization of resources. So if you go back to our previous lesson, we have said that exploitation is one of the effect of an increasing population. So increasing number of human population will also mean that there will be an increased need for resources that will provide for our food, shelter, and clothing. And if there is overutilization or consumption of resources, then it will provide what we call as an environmental crisis. Why? It will become an environmental crisis because there will come a time that these resources will not be anymore be present. So if they will not be anymore be present, then there will be a problem. Where will we get our food? Well, where will we get our water? Where will we get our other basic needs? So it will become a problem or a crisis. Now, another human impact that causes global environmental problems is per capita consumption. That is usually associated also with population growth. So, when we say per capita consumption, in a certain group or in a certain nation, what is the amount of resources that are being consumed in a day, in a week, in a month, or in a year? Thus, can the environment provide for those needs of that growing population? Or it will become again a crisis in such a way that there will be a low number of resources that will be utilized. Then another cause of global environmental problem is technology. Most of you will ask, bakit naging environmental problem ang technology? Well, the answer is that some of the technology that we have developed during this century are contributing in the production of greenhouse gases. Vehicles and other machineries that utilize fossil fuels releases toxic gases or greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Thus, it becomes one of the human impacts to our planet that again promote an environmental crisis. So even technology is one of the main causes of our problems with regards to climate change and global warming. If we look at this timeline on world human population growth, we could observe that there is a constant increase in the number of human population growth. From 1804, from 1 billion to 2021, it became 8 billion. So the increasing number of human population in the world means that there will also be an increase in the consumption of natural resources. Now, if we do not return back to the environment or we do not replenish these natural resources, from 2025 or 2030, there will be not enough resources to provide for the basic needs of humans. Now, this is because the human carrying capacity of the earth is not infinite. So when we say it is not infinite, it is not limitless, but instead there is a limit on what our planet can provide us. Maybe that's the reason why other governments are already prospecting in looking for other planets that can be colonized because they already know that the planet's carrying capacity is not anymore enough to provide for the growing number of population and the growing needs of that population. So because of the earth has only a finite or finite resources, it means there is a limit. And its ability to sustain the growing population is also finite. So meaning there is an end for its ability to sustain our growing population. Now, its ability to provide food and energy is also finite. So there is also a limit with regards to the number of food as well as to the energy resources that we have, particularly our dependence on fossil fuels. Now remember, fossil fuels are also finite, meaning they have their limit, they have their time where we cannot anymore acquire or get those kinds of fuel. Another one is that economic need allow exploitation of natural resources. Because of the increasing population and increasing economic growth, we are going to exploit more of our natural resources. Even other countries are already exploiting the natural resources of other countries. They are already exploiting our own resources, like in the case of the West Philippine Sea. Now, industrialized nation consume more resources per capita because if a nation is industrialized, it means that there are more people in that particular area. More people in an area means more needs to be provided. Okay? And pollution has a negative effect on humans in terms of health, quality of life, as well as to animals and plants. So because of the increasing number or increasing population, we have also doubled or increased our waste production. And all of this becomes now what we call as an ecological crisis. Now, basing from researches that were conducted, it has been observed that there is already what we call as global consumption explosion. So when we say global consumption explosion, there is a rising or rapidly rising consumption of our planet's resources. And then the resource consumption is mostly driven by population growth as well as rising wealth or economy. If an economy becomes stable and most countries that are wealthy, there will also be an increase on their needs or wants. So there will be more exploitation that will occur just to satisfy those needs or wants of a certain nation. This ever-increasing consumption puts strain on the environment. It puts strain on the environment because there is a need for us to look for other resources in an area, particularly in areas that are rich in mineral resources, areas that are rich in water resources, and other environmental resources that are very useful to provide for the needs or consumption of a rapidly growing population. Now, as a result, emissions and waste will pollute the earth that will now destroy the ecosystem. We have said a while ago that technology has a detrimental or negative effect to the environment. But we should also look at its positive ecological effect as well as its negative ecological effect. Now, let us first discuss the ecological effect of technology. Okay, let us discuss the impact of technology revolution. One of the positive ecological effects of technology is that it improved the quality of life by providing technology for medicine, it provided technology for communication, and it provided technology for farming. So those technologies help in improving the quality of life by giving us lesser time to plant, faster harvesting, and at the same time we can already communicate easily with our loved ones through the use of cell phone. Aside from that, technology will provide greater economic growth, or it will also help in boosting the economy of a certain country, like in the case of China. Then also there is a rapid and bulk production of goods. Because of technology, we have more uh, processing capability, and also in agriculture, uh, we can already harvest at a shorter period of time compared to the old or traditional harvesting method. And another positive ecological effect is that we have better transportation. We can move from one place to another at a faster rate because of technology. And also, like what I have said a while ago, we have already faster communication. Unlike before, it will take months or days before a certain message can reach other people. And also, we have already comfortable housing that is complete with advanced technology like a cooling system or air conditioning system, heating system, and other advanced house technology that is being utilized. Also, another positive effect of technology is that enjoyable recreation, because some of the recreation areas that we have are already being run by technology. But with regards to the negative ecological effect, we have also the following. So technology also provides or promotes pollution of life support system. So when we say pollution, it pollutes water, it pollutes the air, it pollutes the land. Because those three, land, air, and water, are the basic support systems for us to live and survive in our planet. Aside from that, another negative ecological effect is the degradation of natural habitats or the destruction of natural habitats of our animals and even humans. So, if there is an advancement in technology, it also means that we are going to utilize resources that will also affect the normal habitat of other organisms. For example, due to mining, there will be displacement and destruction of forest areas, displacement of animals from their natural habitat. Okay. Then another negative ecological effect is the global warming and climate change. So there is already sudden change in our temperature or atmospheric temperature, as well as on the weather patterns. And another negative ecological effect of technology is the depletion of natural resources or overutilization of natural resources. We get too much of everything in our environment. And impact of industry to agriculture. So although technology will provide an increased amount of harvest, sometimes technology has a negative impact on agriculture, such as the utilization of chemicals or pesticides that may also affect health. And this is now what we call as toxic contamination from technology and depletion of our food sources. Okay? So those are the positive as well as negative ecological effect of technology. To fully understand the greenhouse effect, let us first determine what is a greenhouse. Now, greenhouse are usually found in farm areas or in gardens where they grow tropical plants, because tropical plants usually live or need a condition that is humid or it is warmer compared to the outside temperature. Now, greenhouse is a structural building with different types of covering materials such as glass or plastic roof, and frequently it is made up of glass or plastic walls. Now, the receiving energy in the form of light from the outside will hit the inside of the greenhouse, but it will not allow the heat to radiate back outside. Now, it happens that glass is a material pretty opaque to this infrared radiation emitted by the interior of the greenhouse. Thus, it will prevent the exit of your infrared radiation. So, it will trap the radiation inside of the greenhouse, making the greenhouse much more warmer. Now, this prevents the energy to dissipate easily outside and leads to a temperature increase that would not happen if infrared could freely escape from the greenhouse. So in other words, a greenhouse is a structure that will usually trap the infrared light coming from the sun, and it will prevent the light, especially the heat, from radiating or dissipating outside. So it will maintain a higher temperature, or the inside of the greenhouse will maintain a higher temperature compared to the outside environment. Now let us discuss about the greenhouse effect. Now that we know what is a greenhouse, let us now try to observe and discover the effect that it might cause to our planet. Now, the greenhouse effect is a natural process that warms the earth. And in fact, it is quite necessary for our survival because without the greenhouse gases, our planet will become very cold. This event has already occurred in the past history of our planet, where we call that period as the Ice Age. Now, carbon gases, or what we call as greenhouse gases, help our planet to become much more warmer. Most of these greenhouse gases are your water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide. Okay, these gases will now act as a blanket to prevent the sun's heat energy from radiating back into outer space. Okay, so it is very similar with the greenhouse that it will prevent the exit, or it will prevent the dissipation of heat going back to outer space. Okay, so although we need these greenhouse gases to keep us warm, the problem is there is too much of these greenhouse gases already, that it will totally trap the heat energy that we receive from the sun. So if the heat will not dissipate, or the excess heat will not dissipate outside, then our condition will get worse, because sooner or later we will already feel that as if we are inside already we are already inside an oven. Okay, so the earth's surface is already as much as 33 degrees Celsius in temperature. Okay, but without the greenhouse gases, like what I have said a while ago, it will cool down the planet, creating an ice age. So also, the greenhouse gases is also essential. Also, although it has a negative effect, it is also needed by our planet for our species survival.